Hello and welcome to this video. Hi, I'm Mel with Your First Draft and the Future Fiction Academy, and today we are going to take a look at Raptor Write Plus. This will be a tour to get you started. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you're signed up for our free course. You can get to Raptor Write by going to raptorwrite.com, and you'll see the two options that you have. If you've already signed up for our free course, you can just click the login to Raptor Write via FFA Teachable. And if you have not, all you need to do is register for free, get signed up for our Intro to AI in Writing, and you will be off to the races. So let's go ahead and log in. And I'm already logged in. And if you haven't logged in, you would see a login screen from Teachable, and you'll just log in there. And then we'll just click continue. And the main difference with Raptor Write Plus from our original Raptor Write product is that it is saving to the cloud now. It's not local storage anymore. You can access your same projects on multiple systems. We are still working out a couple of bugs with our new version of Raptor 8 Plus, but everything is moving along pretty well, and we are looking forward to adding some additional new features and more cloud-based storage in the near future. So to start with, let's do a quick overview of the desktop here. On this left panel, you have the AI tab where you would change your provider. As a non-member of the Future Fiction Academy Accelerator, you will only have access to OpenRouter, but you can use all of the models that OpenRouter has available using that. You would set up your API key through OpenRouter, and you will be all set to get going then. So you can choose from a couple of different options that we have models compiled in. You can get to all of the models by clicking on all models. My favorite is the favorites section. You can set your favorites by clicking model favorites and then go through this list and just tick off any of the ones that you want to appear in your list. And then at the bottom, you'll click save. So when your favorites are listed in your drop down here, that's all you'll see. If you want a different model, you need to come back up here and go to all models or one of these other categories to find those other models. Your API key gets entered here, and it is blacked out as these little dots to protect your privacy, and your security, because your API key is basically your password to your account, essentially. So don't share that with other people. Make sure you keep it private, and you'll be all set. All right. So then our next tab here is the settings tab. And here you have access to look at our documentation for Raptor Write Plus. Steph Pajonas did a great job with updating this for Raptor Write Plus. It has all of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today in Notion, and you'll be able to go through each section with all of the different information that you could possibly need about Raptor Write Plus, including some frequently asked questions and troubleshooting help. One thing to keep in mind is that our team is always available, mostly always available using Discord. You can get help with different topics in our Discord community. We can help you troubleshoot issues. We're happy to do that. We are human, so time zones do cause an issue sometimes, but we do our best to get back to everybody as quickly as possible and get any problems that you run into resolved. One of the big things that we've been noticing lately is that people have either unintentionally or intentionally set a limit on their key in OpenRouter, and that has caused some issues with the response not coming back. So if you do run into that kind of an issue, always check your key with OpenRouter, make sure that everything is clear on that side, and you should be all set. Okay, so then also on this tab with the settings, you can set your visual theme. We are using Daisy UI, and these will get alphabetized eventually, but here you can change your display to a variety of different color combinations. There are several dark themes in here too, and we do have an update for that. So right now, they can be a little bit more difficult to read in the dropdown when you're using a dark mode, Our next update that we're going to be releasing soon has that fixed. That shouldn't be an issue for much longer. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to go back to Nord. That is my current favorite. All right. You can use your mouse. Here you can toggle to have the hotkeys enabled in your mouse and on your keyboard in the editor. So what that does is this over here is our editor screen. And when you right click in here, your mouse menu comes up with the shortcut actions to the main prompts. A lot of people use those. A lot of people don't use those. I usually turn them off by just deactivating, toggling the mouse selection key to off, and then your normal right-click alt menu will show up there. That's a personal preference. You can change it at any time, and that is up to you, whatever works best for you. Same with the keyboard shortcuts. One thing that I like to do, our hotkey for the LLM calls, is the backslash. So your primary prompt will use the backslash to initiate the call. But if you're like me and you tend to fat finger the backspace when you're trying to delete something, and instead of hitting backspace, you hit backslash, you might want to use a different key. So we have a couple of options in here. My personal favorite is this bar, which is still on the backslash key, but you have to hold shift down at the same time to get it to run. So you're not going to be accidentally making an LLM call if you use that key. You can also use the equal sign on your keyboard to confirm the LLM output. So if you want to keep it, you would just use one of these features, or you can click the thumbs up, thumbs down button that we have available on the input box and also here at the top of the screen of the editor. I'm not sure what, okay, show last is going to show you your last LLM request. I think that is a newer feature, which is fantastic. I'm looking forward to trying that. You can copy that to your clipboard, and that is going to basically give you the last prompt that you sent to the LLM so that you can have a record of it. And that should help out in certain cases if you need to see what you just did. Okay, so then here is our main access to the Nexus, which is our cloud-based storage and where all of your project saving happens. So when you click on the Nexus, this lovely box pops up. That's your API key, but you don't want to save that. So go ahead and click no on that. But if you have any local projects that are legacy projects from our previous version of Raptor Write, you'll see it here in the legacy local projects, and you can convert all and then remove the warning, and then this will no longer show. So I'm just going to go ahead and convert this, and it's going to upload it to my cloud storage, which is great. And then I'll just click this remove warning, and it'll be gone now. So then all of your cloud projects are saved here. You can import a JSON project using this button over here. And if you have old files from Raptor, previously backups that you'd saved, you can import them using this. If you are looking to move projects over from some other utility that you used to, or some other website that you used to write your story, whether it's Plot Drive or maybe you used Scrivener on your desktop, you can combine all of that information into files and zip that up, and then you can import a zip project too with folders. So if you export your project from Plot Drive, as a zip drive with individual files, you'll be able to import that, So if you export your project from Plot Drive as a zip file, you'll be able to import that zip project right into Raptor Write, and then it'll load with all of your folders and documents in those folders, just like you had it before. So in the Nexus also, this is where you would load your project or edit your project's name. It looks like we need, there we go, rename. You can duplicate a project, delete a project, export it as a zip file, or export it as a JSON file. And so it's always a good idea to make local backups on your computer of your projects periodically, just so that you've got them locally too. There's also an access to our instructions again here. and show local toggles, that local legacy local projects. So you can hide that if you're done with that. And then this button takes you back to Raptor Write Plus. Now, if you want to, okay, great. So let's take a look at the settings page one more time. So this zip to JSON is a legacy thing too that came from our Rexy 2 development days. And when you click this, it opens in a new page and it lets you convert your zip file to a Raptor Write JSON file. So you just enter the title there, click the browse button, and then your selection window will pop up and you can pull that file in. It'll convert it to JSON and you're good to go. That said, you don't need to do that anymore. You can just import directly into the Nexus as a zip project. So that is one feature. All right. And then we also have logout here, and that will do as it says. And we have this large actions menu button or toggle option that will give you a large high contrast action button instead of smaller icons that we have currently on the next panel, which I will show you now. So we'll come back to that one in just a minute. So the project that I currently have loaded is this Regency Christmas story. So here we have the project title, and you can rename the project title just by clicking on it and renaming it. So you can highlight, delete, rename it to whatever you want, and then just use the Enter key on your keyboard to save it. Immediately below that, we have this first digit here in this highlighted area, and that's going to show you all the different documents that are toggled on across your entire project. So right now it's adding the count here at the top of my folder bar, and it's also adding that count to this number up here in the project bar. And so every time I toggle on a document, it's going to increase the total count across all of my folders. You can add a new document using this button, and that adds it to the main folder, which is the default folder that is created with your project. Then you have the ability to add a new folder with this button here. And with this button, you can select all of the documents in your project and toggle them all on or all off with one click. And this button is the Manage Prompt Order button. This is a newer feature that we have that is pretty exciting. So I'm going to just toggle a few things on here just so that we can see it in action. So when I click this button, it's going to give me the document order that will be sent to the AI in my prompt. So if for some reason I wanted to put chapter 3 at the very top of my prompt order, I can do that by just dragging and dropping the documents into the order that I want them to appear in the prompt. That does not change their location in the folders. It only changes the order of the documents in the prompt itself. So you can reorder things as much as you like without having to worry. There's also a nifty little feature down here that we are going to get some better labeling for. It downloads it as a single document. So if you want to export your whole manuscript as one document, like a Word doc or a Markdown file, you can do that using the Manage Selected Document Order. And that is something that is a newer feature, which I'm very excited about, and it's my favorite way to download my project. And then this eyeball here is for when you hide your folder, and you can hide the folder by right-clicking on the folder panel bar and then use the hide feature, and then this lights up a different color. So when you click that, it's going to re-show the hidden folder. Okay, so then on your folders, you have this toggle, which collapses the folder and expands it. So if you aren't using something for this project, I'll be done with Act 1 soon. So when I move on to Act 2, I'll just collapse that folder and move on to the next. And that's just going to save me some space on this left-hand bar. And I can collapse all of these and just have the one folder that I'm working in open. Just cuts down on visual clutter for your project. So then within the folder, you have the ability to create a new document in the folder itself. And so that is going to add a new document, and then you'll just come up here, rename your document, and I'm going to be very creative and just call this one new document. and enter, and that updates it over here on the right, excuse me, on the left in this panel. Other ways that you can rename are right click and rename, and that lets you do the same thing. All right, so then the box that just popped up is a part of our way to ensure that we're not losing data. So when that pops up, it's still in the process of syncing, and it will finish its sync to the cloud, and then it'll let you go to the next document that you're trying to get to. All right, so we've got the add new document, and then we have the ability to reorder our folders by using this little plus arrow thingy. So when you click that, it's going to collapse all of your files, and it'll show the one that you're moving highlighted, depending on the color that you're using or the theme that you're using. It collapses everything to make it a little bit easier to see where you're moving it. And then we'll have that up there. Okay, great. So similar to this button up here that selects all, you can click this button to toggle all of the documents on in this folder and to toggle them all off. So that's just a quick shortcut way to turn everything on, make it a selected document versus take everything off. And then we have the delete button here, which will delete the folder. And I am going to test that on my graveyard because my graveyard is not super important. But when you click that, it's going to show up it's going to pop up a window to confirm that you definitely want to delete the folder. This cannot be undone. So be very sure that you need to delete that folder. I'm going to click cancel because I don't want to delete it. That's why I have a folder called graveyard, because I'm a bit of a digital hoarder and I keep everything. So until I'm sure that I don't need it anymore. Okay, so that is our project window here. We're going to take a quick look at our prompt folder next, excuse me, our prompt panel next. And this is a new addition for Raptor Write Plus. You can create new prompts using this plus sign. It'll pop up a window where you can enter the title of your prompt. You can preview the prompt and then save it over here. You can give your prompts a different button color depending on what you want. So if you want to categorize your buttons in different colors, you have the option of changing it to a variety of colors that are aligned with the current theme that you're using. And that is a feature that is part of the tool that we're using for that. You can also change it so that it has a different style. So if you wanted to make it a ghost button that only lights up when you hover over it, you have that option. You can make it a dashed outline. So you have some different options there. So play around with that and find what makes you happy. All right. So then in your prompt window, these variables are the variables that will let you call different types of information. So when you're in a document in the project folder, anything before the cursor is included with this before variable. So when you click on this in the prompt window, it's going to add it to your prompt context folder or window. And then you just enter to get to the next line. And so anything in the document that's after your cursor will be included if you select this variable. And of course, the key one to select or to include is the selected documents. The selected documents is going to include everything that you have toggled on. And that's really important. Right now, selected text and user input are only available for the revise button or prompt. Yeah, these two are only currently available for the revise prompt. And we will be working on getting that user input box set so that you can use it in regular prompts too. It's just a matter of fine tuning our coding for that. And I think the last response button does not currently work yet either, but we will be getting that updated too, so that you can include the last response that you received from the LLM in your prompts if you choose to do. Okay. And so then after you make your prompt, you're going to save it. I'm going to close this one. But over here, you can save prompt sets. So when you've created all of the prompts that you would like to keep, you would just save it as a type. You name your prompt set, and I'll just name this default because that's pretty good. And I'll save that. And then that is going to be saved to the cloud. So now the next time I want to load a prompt set, I can come in here, use this load button, and it's going to show me a window with all of my prompt sets. So then I can change to any one of these and then those prompts will show up. So if you have a set of buttons that you like to use or set of prompts that you like to use for writing, editing, marketing, you can set all of those up as different sets so that you can use your shortcut keys effectively. So let me come back here and load my default set, and then I will show you how that works. All right, so your default primary prompts are the backslash prompts, and that is the same setup that we had in original Raptor Write. Your continue prompt used the backslash. Your revise prompt was activated when you highlighted a block of text and then hit the backslash button. It's the same thing for Raptor Write Plus. However, you can make these prompts whatever you like. All right. So the continue prompt for me is more like a go prompt. I usually type my instructions directly into the document window and use the go because the default prompt doesn't work for my style. The default prompt may very well work for your style. And in that case, you should definitely leave it. So that is an option. What we have other people doing is they create a go button, which is basically that same prompt that I just had for my continue button, but they'll create a go button. And that way they have the option of keeping the original continue button and having a go button. So I'm going to make this green, but I don't know. I think it's not info, it's success. There we go. I'm going to call that go. And then in my go button, I'm just going to have selected documents and before. And that's going to tell the AI, that's going to tell for the prompt, it's going to combine everything that I have toggled on in the order that I've selected with the information that's in the document that I'm actively in before my cursor. If you want it to include what's after your cursor, you would also need to include the after key or the after variable. I am not going to do that for this example. I'm just going to save that. And now I'm going to show you something fun. These buttons can be reordered really easily by dragging and dropping them, and it will reassign that button to your primary hotkeys. These hotkeys will always show in this order. So whatever order you put your buttons in by dragging and dropping them, that is the order, that is the hotkey that they will be assigned to. And to get your keyboard shortcuts, you can click on this little menu right here or pop-up info box, and it's going to tell you how to access your prompts using the shortcut keys, whether you're on a Windows or Linux machine or a Mac. And then you can just minimize that too. So you probably saw this earlier, but when you click on this little part here of the button, it gives you the option to run it with a click. So unless I'm using the go prompt or revise, which let me move the revise button up so it's on the right key, I will usually come into my prompts and have it open. Okay, so you have the option of exporting your prompts using the save and export feature, or if somebody has shared their prompt set with you, you can import those prompts by using this import feature. And that opens the file upload window, and you just select your prompt set, which you can't see because of the way I'm sharing, but it's going to then import all of those prompts as a set. And now you can see that they're here. So we have the go button that I was talking about. Lynn has added this to her prompt set because these are Lynn's prompts, they're amazing. The revise, this is the original revise, and then the original continue. So if you want to use this continue prompt, it's here, it's ready to go, and you're all set. I think we're looking at getting these added to the FFA prompts panel here, and that is a future feature that we're going to get to. Okay, so let me just load my default prompts again. Great. And when you import prompts, you do have to save them as a set in your cloud so that you can access them again in the future. Okay, so now that we've talked about all of these windows, let's come back to our project panel here, and then we're going to talk about this editor window over here. So on this top row, we have a couple of great features. This little button here collapses and expands the panel here on the left. So if you are working with, for instance, a notepad file so that you can have a second document showing at the same time to compare things as you're kit bashing or something like that, you can just collapse that screen, give yourself more desktop space for your editor. And then we just have the standard editing buttons here on the editor, along with the thumbs up, thumbs down for your LLM call responses. But let me just expand that back, right? And then you have your document name, which you can rename by clicking in here and then using the Enter key to save. And then over here, we have the download features or the download options. You can download just the current document, and that gives you the option to download it as Markdown, text, or doc file for Word. You can download all of your documents as a zip file, and that does the same Markdown, text, and doc. Or you can download the story. And what this does is it will download all of your current documents in the project in a single file. So if you have, for example, like my graveyard folder of deleted content that I am just hoarding, you can use that and it's going to include everything in your project in one file. Hence why my favorite is this download option over here in the Manage Selected Document Order window, because I like to just download my manuscript in one file if I need to. Okay, and then we have the Save button. This will go yellow when you make changes to the document, and as it saves, it will then convert to green. So you can always just click that just to manually save it and make sure that it's synced to the cloud, and then you're all set. And that's what this button does. It just indicates whether or not the current file has been synced to your cloud storage. And this little file box here is to load something from the cloud. You can load your projects that way. It pops up with another window. You have a shortcut button to get you to the Nexus here in case you want to duplicate the project or some other project management functions. Those are in the Nexus, and you can only load your projects from here. Right now there's a delete option, but I think we're planning to remove that so that you are only managing your project in the Nexus. And then of course you can create a new project using this plus sign up here in the top right. And that will just load a blank project and you can name it and get it all saved and everything and start a new project that way. All right. So I think that is pretty much the primary overview. If you do accidentally hit the backslash key accidentally because you are using backslash key, you can always stop your LLM call by hitting this little hand. That should stop it. Sometimes it's a little slow to respond, but it should stop it. So I hope this has helped. And if you have any questions or you run into any issues, again, feel free to reach out to us at either dean@futurefictionacademy.com, or you can visit us in Discord and we'll be happy to help you there. I'm Mel, and if you have questions, run into problems, we're here to help and hope you enjoy your day. Thanks again for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.